Welcome to the WSDOT Project Management Guide training. Launch a new project. Congratulations! You're starting a new project and you need to address how to launch a new project. Now what? Go to the WSDOT Project Management Guide website and select the Launch and Manage link. Then select Quick Guide Launch and Manage button in the upper right corner. This page also contains templates, tools and materials, training opportunities, examples, and resources. Here you'll find a step-by-step guide to launch a new project in reference to the WSDOT Design Manual, Chapter 305, and WSDOT Program Management Manual, Chapter 6, Managing Project Delivery, is of particular importance. You can perform all the following steps or delegate any of them to your team members and/or consultants with your supervision and oversight. You, as the project manager, are responsible for assuring total team participation, including disciplined specialty groups and consultants. First, right-size your effort. Do you have a small, medium, or large project? Your level of effort should align with the size of your project. You need to decide for yourself what you consider small, medium, or large. It can be based on a combination of dollars, complexity, coordination, or other factors. Your project engineer should provide you with a brief outline of the project, as well as approximate percentage of your time, and your immediate team's time this project should take initially during the project launch period. Step 1. Project Setup. Make sure you have an assigned project number or numbers used in the WSDOT Information Management System to describe how and when the planned work is to be executed on a project. Ensure the project has been set up correctly in the WSDOT database and charge numbers assigned for each group that will be working on the project. Submit a work order authorization requesting that the project be set up in WSDOT's Information Management System. You may need to delegate this to someone who is a work order expert. See the WSDOT Program Management Manual, Chapters 6.8 and 8.5 for more detail on this procedure. A separate work order is required for each project phase: preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction, and possibly for each stage within each of these phases. Understanding the programs and subprograms. The state legislature makes investment decisions and funds the various programs to certain levels each biennium. Understand which program and subprogram your project is funded through. This information will be provided to you. I. Improvements. With the following subprograms. P. Preservation. Q. Traffic Operations Capital. W. Washington State Ferries Construction. Y. Public Transportation and Rail. And Z. Local programs. Each subprogram can be further subdivided into a more specific subcategory. Step 2. Assess the project. You should have been provided the location of all the existing files prepared during the project definition scoping phase. If not, contact the person who led that phase of the project and ask for the electronic file location. You should copy these files to your new file structure. More about this in Step 4. Review and validate the project profile definition, draft basis of design, environmental review summary, and any other documents in the project file. Validate the project parameters such as the project limits, milepost to milepost, funding limits, authority levels, legal and regulatory requirements. For example, environmental regulations requiring fish window work. Make sure the project description is consistent with the project profile. Ask any clarifying questions of the engineers and planners that prepared the original project definition. The delivery method may have been preliminarily identified, but understand that this could change later in the design process. Step 3. Select your initial core design team. Identify your initial core design team members as appropriate for the project scope and scale. Initially, you should identify an assistant or deputy project manager, lead engineer, designers, CAD lead, and any other significant role you need for the project. Other roles will be identified later in the process. Your project engineer might already have some suggestions for you. Discuss your identified team members with your supervisor and each of their supervisors to confirm their availability. You should have a rough idea if you need 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% of their time, and maybe which months you would need them. Some negotiation skills might be needed to get the team members you want. Will consultants be needed for some or most of the design work? Work with the consultant liaison office immediately if you need the consultant to start soon. Remember, it can take 2 to 12+ months to fully engage a consultant team. What specialty groups and/or subject matter experts do you anticipate needing? Include any that you're not sure of. It's better to initially include them now and later find you don't need them than the other way around, which could have a negative impact on the schedule. Don't forget the region maintenance team. Draft your org chart with the key roles. It's okay to leave some roles without names for now. These can be filled in later. External stakeholders are discussed in Step 11 below. Step 4. File system. You need to set up the electronic file system now. Decide where files will be stored and set up the basic file folder storage structure for MicroStation and inroads on WSDOT's ProjectWise system and file folder storage structure for design documents on WSDOT's SharePoint system. It should be accessible to your entire team, including your consultants. It is recommended that all MicroStation inroads files be stored on ProjectWise, which is designed for MicroStation, inroads, and OpenRoads file sharing. For those who wish, but not required, it is recommended to place all other file types on SharePoint. SharePoint allows great file sharing options, including version control, multiple people in a file at the same time, real-time sharing, document recovery, file backups, version history and recovery, and permissions control. You need to decide what the document naming convention will be. Follow WSDOT record retention guidance for document management throughout the course of your project. Make sure it is clear for maintaining hard copy and electronic files, sequestering original documents, dates and project information on documents, copying documents, and the maintenance of document logs. All documents shall be stored daily on the approved project server cloud, which can include consultants' cloud server. Absolutely no one should be storing documents on their local computer drive overnight. This is a good time to open your project in the Project Management and Reporting System, PMRS. Step 5. Start the Project Management Plan. A Project Management Plan, PMP, is a blueprint to the entire team and the teams for the other phases regarding the execution of your project, outlining the who, why, how, when, and what-ifs. The PMP is the foundation of project management, and all future project phases will be based on this document. This PMP will be passed on to the construction phase project manager, and possibly other design phases project managers if you are the project manager for only the first phase. For smaller projects, you may choose to use the one-page PMP template. For larger projects, you may choose to use the multi-volume PMP template. Write the PMP as if you won't be available to explain it to the next phase project manager. It must be completely self-explanatory. This is the first step in initiating and aligning the project team, which is to focus on a common goal. There are several different template options for our PMP. The PMP contains information about the project's management, scope, schedule, cost budget, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, stakeholders, deliverables, decisions, change management, performance baseline, transition, and closure. We'll cover each of these topics throughout this video. Start drafting each component of the PMP. You don't necessarily need to complete each section just yet. Some of this will come after the kickoff meeting or even later. Use one of the templates available on the WSDOT Project Management Guide website, depending on the size and complexity of your project. Right-size the PMP to meet the needs of the project and your team. You will touch each of the steps, but some may be minimal effort for smaller projects. The PMP will help you manage the project and measure your team's progress. The PMP is a living document, and you will be responsible for updating it when it is needed. It is your responsibility, as the project manager, to deliver the overall project within scope, on budget, and on schedule. Step 6. Project Definition. The project definition comes from the original project identification phase. Copy this into your project management plan. Program and subprogram numbers. Project work zone limits, milepost to milepost. Are there any city, county, tribal, railroad, or other jurisdictional limits? Are there any fish barriers or other environmentally sensitive areas? Will noise walls need to be considered? Are there any preliminary thoughts on delivery method, design bid build, progressive design build, or other? What is not included in the project? You will validate these project parameters and note any discrepancies. Confirm you have included the resources, specialty groups, and stakeholders. For example, if BNSF has been identified during the project identification phase, make sure to document this stakeholder in your PMP. Create a quick vicinity map, graphic, or aerial photo. Google Earth and Google Maps are free to use and are great tools for this. To get a quick screen capture, press Shift, Windows button, and S simultaneously, then release. Hold down your left mouse button and drag your cursor to create the outline of what you want to capture. Release your mouse button. Now, just paste the image into your PMP. You can then add text, arrows, and other information. Step 7. Mission and goals. Why has this project been proposed? What is the project purpose? What are you trying to solve? This is called the mission statement, or sometimes called the vision, needs, alignment, or purpose statement. This statement should already be included in the project profile definition. Copy this into your PMP. You need to create the goals if they were not included. Review the guidance documents information about WSDOT's practical design procedures, which is available on WSDOT's PM Guide website. Step 8. Site visit. You and your core team may want to consider a site visit to confirm the project definition, mission, and goals. Consider asking WSDOT maintenance to meet you in the field and discuss some of the issues they know about that you may not be able to observe yourself. They are a wealth of information. WSDOT maintenance have keys to the gated and other restricted areas. You may identify additional local external stakeholders that you may not have otherwise thought of. For example, take note of how mail is delivered, trash is picked up, school bus operations, package delivery services, meal delivery services pickup drop-off, or other unique aspects of your project area. Take lots of photos and post them in your shared project file. Most important, follow all the WSDOT safety procedures and guidelines manual requirements while driving and being in the field. Step 9. Deliverables Expectations Matrix. Consult the WSDOT Deliverables Expectations Matrix, available on the WSDOT PM Guide website, under Resources. It provides at-a-glance information about deliverables during design. Check with the appropriate resources and subject matter experts for details regarding specific deliverables for your project. Your initial list will be refined later when you scope with the individual discipline specialty groups and possibly consultants. Step 10. Metrics of success. The project will be considered successful if fill in your goal deliverable outcome response or responses, and maybe ask your supervisor for additional ideas. These are the metrics that measure your progress and performance. Examples: on budget, on schedule, 10% reduction in accidents, level of service C, improved pavement smoothness, etc. Place these in your PMP. For more information, review the guidance documents. Information about WSDOT's practical design procedures, also available on the WSDOT PM Guide website. Step 11. External stakeholders. Make a list of known or suspected external stakeholders that may be affected by the project, including during construction. Note their areas of authority, key touchpoints, when and where the stakeholder touches affects is affected by the project, and when and how they prefer to be contacted, if known. Also check the original project profile definition for any listed stakeholders. Copy this into your PMP. Consider AHJs. Authorities having jurisdiction. Cities, counties, tribes, and/or other authorities having jurisdiction. Permitting agencies. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, Washington Department of Natural Resources, Washington Department of Ecology, etc. Federal agencies. Federal Highways Administration, Federal Transit Authority, Federal Aviation Administration, etc. Technical or steering committees. Others are vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Be sure to account for wheelchairs, walkers, hearing and sight impaired, and other ADA accommodations. Trucks and trucking associations. Residential property owners, their tenants, if different than the owner, and the unhoused. Commercial property owner, landlord, and property management, which are often different from the business tenant. Businesses, including their customers, access to parking for customers, suppliers, deliveries. Restaurants often need a dedicated short-term space for food delivery services to quickly pick up orders. Public and private transit routes, and transit stops or stations. Schools, including buses, personal pickup and drop-off areas, and biking to and from school. Emergency services, police, large fire trucks, EMTs, Washington State Patrol, etc. Ports, airports, ferries, marine, cargo, etc. Parks and public lands. Recreation groups and clubs. Example, bike clubs and resource conservation areas. Neighborhood and community groups. Utilities, public and private. Don't forget to include WSDOT's own utilities, such as lighting, signals, ITS, fiber, and drainage. Mail, trash and recycle. Package delivery. Examples, Amazon, UPS, FedEx, and other daily weekly services. Railroads, transit, such as Sound Transit and Amtrak, and cargo and freight, such as BNSF. Metropolitan planning organizations and regional transportation planning organizations, such as the Puget Sound Regional Council. Politicians, political groups. Contractors, suppliers, labor unions. The environment. End users. What other stakeholders might you have? Step 12. Plan for the kickoff meeting. Start planning 2 to 6 weeks ahead of time. A kickoff meeting is a chance to meet with the team and stakeholders before the project starts to align on key details, plan for the work, and get buy-in on critical milestones. At the end of the meeting, the entire team should have a shared understanding about what the project is, why, and how the work will be accomplished. Kickoff meetings are an invaluable way to communicate key project information to the team and give them all an opportunity to ask questions of the entire team, which reduces miscommunication and helps ensure everyone is starting the project from the same place and understanding. Without a kickoff meeting, team members and stakeholders could have misaligned project expectations, which leads to scope creep and budget overruns. You should right-size the kickoff for your project. You may choose to have multiple kickoff meetings, one internal to WSDOT staff, another when consultants are engaged, and possibly one or more with external stakeholders. Finalize the invite list for the kickoff meeting. Schedule a date, time, and duration. Suggest 25 minutes for a simple paver project and up to 2 hours for larger, more complicated projects. Make sure to save time for questions. If you plan to go over 2 hours, add a 10-minute break in the middle of the agenda. Note, it will be difficult to keep people engaged for more than 2 hours. Send out the meeting invitations 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time. Assign a note taker. Consider recording the meeting for those unable to attend to catch up quicker. If invitees cannot attend, ask them to take the responsibility to assign their delegate to attend. More about conducting the kickoff meeting later. Step 13. Start drafting your project org chart. Create the outline of your project org chart, including any consultants, if applicable, based on the team members you identified in the earlier steps. If you use one of the WSDOT templates available on the WSDOT PM Guide website, you can always add any additional discipline specialty groups that you suspect you might need and delete any that you know you will not need. You have the option to place only the lead contact for each discipline or populate as far down the org chart as you want to. Remember, this org chart helps define people's roles and project reporting structure. Larger projects may have more depth to the org structure. For example, for a large project, you may have a wall structure lead, a bridge structure lead, and a foundation structure lead. Whereas, for a smaller project, may only have an overall structures lead. Right-size the org chart for your needs. You may know which discipline specialty groups you may need, but don't worry if you don't have a specific person's name for that assignment yet. That will come later as more details are defined, and when that discipline is closer to starting their part of the work. Names will change throughout the various phases, so make sure you can edit your org chart. Step 14. Identify risks. Make a list of known or suspected risks. Risks can be threats negative or opportunities positive. Enter these into the risk register. Check the original project profile definition for additional suspected risks. See the templates and training video on the WSDOT Project Management Guide website under Risk. At this early stage, just list your suspected risks in the template. Later, you will categorize them, quantify and qualify them, identify a response strategy, and assign a person to the risk. You can add, change, sort, monitor, and retire the risks throughout the life of the project. Step 15. Master Deliverables List, MDL. In a previous step, you reviewed the WSDOT Deliverables Expectations Matrix. Now, with this guidance in mind, review the WSDOT Master Deliverables List, which is a way to form your work breakdown structure, WBS, which is sometimes called the Enterprise Project Structure, EPS. The MDL is available on the WSDOT PM Guide website. Determine which MDL items will likely be included in your project. Later, you can further refine this list. See the How to Use tab. Carefully review the groups, i.e., the yellow tabs. The ones you select comprise the initial work breakdown structure for your project. For each group, review the deliverables. These are the third-level items needed for your project. MDL tabs are organized by significant work processes. They may be arranged or combined in any fashion to represent your project delivery process. You should use this tool in the manner that works best for your project. At this point, you can estimate some items, but during the planning the work stage, you will continue to identify additional MDL items. Step 16. Start identifying milestones. List your major milestones and schedule goals. You can use a simple spreadsheet for this exercise and later transfer them into WSDOT's P6 enterprise system when you know more information. For a design bid build project, the suggested items include Step 17. Budget. The project definition includes a budget breakdown, preliminary engineering, right-of-way, construction. Understand your program, subprogram, funding sources, and limitations. For example, I-4, environmental, subcategory, I-L, fish barrier removal, using Connecting Washington Transportation Package state funding. Initially, you may have only been authorized enough funds to achieve one phase of the design process. Additional funds may be programmed to become available later. Some future funding may rely on applying for and receiving grants or from other funding sources. Document any ideas in your PMP for an aging spend plan, which is how much of each budget you think you might spend month by month. Add any ideas for a budget breakdown by discipline, for example, how much of the P budget for the design office, structures, survey, environmental, consultants, etc. You will refine this later in the process when you work with those specialty groups to work out a spend plan for each of them to commit to, and make sure your schedule aligns with their availability. Make note if any of the funding has certain restriction on when or what it can be used for. An example is, some funds may be restricted to only being used during construction or only on fish barrier removal costs. Step 18. Start the roles and responsibilities, decision-making, and managing team conflict documents. This is especially necessary for large projects. Who will be responsible and accountable for what items? Draft the Responsibility RACI matrix, which is available on the WSDOT Project Management Guide website. RACI stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consulted, and Informed. First, only focus on the R's and A's. There should only be one R and one A per row. This draft will be reviewed soon by all involved and adjusted as necessary. The C's and I's will also be added later, at the discretion of the discipline leads. You can have unlimited C's and I's per row. This matrix will help your project communications immensely, especially on larger projects. Note that decision-making should be made at the lowest level necessary, and if the decision cannot be agreed to, then elevate one level higher until the decision can be made. Make sure to document the decision and always communicate that decision to the project manager. Have a plan in place to outline how to manage team conflicts. Step 19. Refine the kickoff meeting agenda and send. Finalize the kickoff meeting agenda and send it out to all invitees 1 to 2 weeks in advance of the meeting, so everyone has time to prepare for the meeting. Consider drafting a rough start to a team charter commitment that can be presented at the kickoff meeting for everyone to react, edit, and contribute to during the meeting. Attach the SharePoint links of the draft information gathered in steps 2 to 18, noting this is draft and subject to revision. A suggested email wording can be found in the Launch a Project Quick Guide. Step 20. Communications. There are two avenues of communication, internal and external. For internal, decide what methods, frequency, chain of command, etc. to share project information with your team. For external, rely on the experts. Consult your region public information officer for recommendations on public engagement, possible open houses, addressing public comments, and public requests for information. Work with your region communications team to develop a communications plan. This plan will include internal and external communications. Add this to your PMP. Step 21. Quality. Determine the appropriate level of quality control and quality assurance (QC/QA) for the project. Prepare a QC/QA plan. See the WSDOT PM Guide website for a template. Make sure you have clear direction where all quality control and assurance documentation is to be posted on your project SharePoint site. You must retain all the quality documentation from every discipline, including consultants and contractors. For every deliverable, it is recommended that you retain using the proper file naming convention. Original draft, electronic is best, with comments and revision edification, including who was the originator, QC reviewer, backchecker, updater, and verifier, as well as the dates each completed their step in the process. See the Quality Control Process Quick Guide for additional information. Updated clean version. Comment tracking resolution data, if available, including who made each comment and how each was resolved. Quality assurance documentation. Bluebeam is an excellent software system to perform the review, provide comments, and it tracks and provides a summary of all comments, who made them, and how each was resolved. Step 22. Reporting. Reporting is very important. It delivers mission-critical information and raises important questions and helps others understand the current status of your project and how to help you guide the project towards a successful outcome. Decide what information and format is needed, right-size to the project and to the audience. Ask your P and region executives what information they want to see and at what frequency. Some information may be reported monthly, some quarterly, and some more or less frequently. This may change during the life of the project. Ask for an example. Does this format measure against the metrics of success decided in Step 10? If you have consultants, what information and format do you need from them? What is your preferred frequency of reporting? For example, monthly, bi-weekly, quarterly, etc. What information should the consultant include in their monthly progress report? Some key reporting topics for you to consider and require of your consultant. Budgets. Budgets to date and projection to the end of the phase or project. For each of your preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction budgets, you will further break these down into the budgets that you will have negotiated with each specialty group and consultant. More about that later. Report what is your total budget for each. How much you spend on each this reporting period. How much total you have spent on each. Your estimate of physical percent complete, or as estimated by the specialty groups and consultants. How much budget you need to complete the scope for each of these. Finally, do you project a positive budget remaining when complete, or a negative balance that will need to be dealt with? Schedule milestones. Schedule milestones progress, critical path, and projection to the end of the phase project. The master deliverables list provides many of the common milestone activities that you need to report on. What is the baseline date for each reporting milestone? Are you projecting a change to any of these milestone dates? If yes, why did it change? What is your new projected date? Does this change affect the critical path and/or advertisement date? Are there any other commitments that are impacted by this change? Do you need to re-baseline your project schedule? Have you communicated this change to all affected teams? Changes. Changes can have a positive or negative impact on the project. Changes to scope, changes to schedule, changes to budget, changes to risks, changes to stakeholders, changes to project team members, changes to anything else critical to the project's success. External communications. Have you had any recent external or public communications? Have you had any recent external or public meetings, and what were the outcomes? Do you have any upcoming external or public communications? Do you have any upcoming external or public meetings, and what are the goals? Deliverables. Do you have any upcoming deliverables? Are you ready to review them in a timely manner? Or do other teams, internal or external, need to be notified that they will need to reserve time to review your deliverable? Decisions. Any recent critical decisions made? Any upcoming critical decisions that need to be made? Concerns, issues, and needs. Do you have any critical concerns for the project's success? Are there any outstanding issues that need to be resolved? Do you have all the resources and staff you need? Step 23. Change management and operating guidelines. A change management plan documents how project teams will identify, quantify, approve, and report changes to the baseline, i.e., scope, schedule, and budget. Decide how change management will be handled on your project. In all cases, it is recommended to discuss the change with your supervisor, document the change, and communicate the change as appropriate. Some changes will require approval by executive authority. See the Program Management Manual, Chapter 6.12 for more information. Change can include staff, scope, schedule, budget, risk, process manual reference law, or other. Operating guidelines, as identified in the various steps above. Roles and responsibilities. Decision-making. Managing team conflict. Communications. Change management. Team meetings, including audience and cadence, and operating guidelines. Step 24. Lessons learned. Select how you will collect lessons learned and share throughout the life of the project, not just at the end. A template is available on the WSDOT PM Guide website. Suggest having this be a regular standing agenda item during your team meetings, and everyone is invited to offer a lesson learned, regardless of whether it is positive or negative. When we learn from a situation that occurred, or almost occurred, we can turn a negative situation into a positive outlook for future projects. It is very important to share these lessons learned throughout WSDOT rather than hide them. When an issue happens and we, as an agency, don't learn from it and it happens again, that reflects very badly on all of us. Step 25. Transition and closure plan. Have a plan to transition the project from the current phase to the next phase. Example, pre-design to design and design to construction. Discuss how to close out the current phase. Also, have an outline on how to close out the entire project at the end. What if the project gets shelved partway through design? Shelved means that the project is being completely stopped until further notice. You'll prepare a shelving report, which is a roadmap to the future PM. What has been accomplished, where you left off, where documents are stored, what was going to be your next steps in managing the project, and other vital information. You should always assume it will be someone else, not you, who will be the future project manager. Also, author the report as if you won't be around to answer any questions. There's a template for this on the WSDOT PM Guide website. Step 26. Conduct the kickoff meeting or meetings. It's finally time to conduct the kickoff meeting you planned back on steps 12 and 19. All the previous steps have now prepared you to conduct the kickoff meeting. This is a lot to go over, so be sure to right-size the agenda for your project. You can use the kickoff meeting PowerPoint template on the WSDOT PM Guide website. Meeting start. If you are using video conferencing, announce that this meeting is being recorded and start the recording feature. Introduce yourself and ask each person to introduce themselves, their role, and a fun fact about themselves, or some other icebreaker that helps get to know one another better. Consider offering a safety, quality, or diversity, equity, inclusion moment. This is a great assignment for junior staff. Just give them a day or two to plan ahead. Project description, background, and scope. It's helpful to open Google Maps or Google Earth Pro and walk through the project, where everyone can see the existing conditions. This often triggers people's memories, or they see something that needs attention. Purpose, objectives, and success metrics. High-level schedule with any relevant project milestones. Budget, spend plan, and funding sources. Known stakeholders and risks and how they may be managed. Ask attendees for other known or suspected risks and add these to your risk matrix. Org chart with established project roles and responsibilities. Your draft RACI matrix can be discussed now or at a future meeting. You need all R's and A's to buy in and agree. Also discuss your decision-making process and conflict resolution ideas. Create the team commitment charter. Work with the entire team to draft a team commitment charter that everyone agrees to, and have each team member initial it. If this can't be accomplished during the kickoff meeting, consider having a separate team commitment and scoping meeting. Discuss how communications should occur. Decide what team meetings are needed, who leads, audience, and cadence. Your quality control and quality assurance plans. How change management will be handled, and operating guidelines. Document file structure and location with your file naming convention. Share where the team will track project data and real-time updates. Recognitions. Discuss how team members will be recognized for achieving performance targets. Leave time for questions. And outline the next steps. Step 27. Calendar team meetings. After the kickoff meeting, it's time to follow through on your assignments. During the kickoff meeting, you discussed what team meetings are needed, cadence, and audience. Now it's time to put these on the calendar. You and the discipline specialty group leads shall calendar the following meetings as soon as possible to reserve these times on everyone's Outlook calendars. These meetings should be set up with Microsoft Teams virtual attendance. Executive. You should set up a biweekly or monthly executive meeting, including yourself, Project Engineer Assistant P, Area Engineering Manager, Assistant State Design Engineer, and any others you recommend. Leadership. You should set up a weekly or bi-weekly leadership meeting, including yourself, Assistant, Deputy PM, each discipline specialty group lead, and consultants. Discipline Specialty Group. The Discipline Specialty Group leads should set up a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly Discipline Specialty Group meeting, including all appropriate staff for that Discipline Specialty Group. Others. There may need to be additional meeting series, one-offs, or specialty meetings during the project life, which you should delegate someone to set up and manage these meetings. It's important to note that meetings are expensive and have a sizable impact to your budget, so keep meetings just long enough to accomplish the meeting goals. Keep each meeting moving at a good pace, end early when you can, keep meeting attendance reasonable, and cancel meetings when they are not needed. If a discussion gets lengthy or off-topic, suggest that this discussion continue at another time so that the current meeting agenda can stay on track. Step 28. Update project documents. Based on the kickoff meeting, you should now have additional information to continue to populate the PMP and other project documents. Update the project documents with the additional information gathered during the kickoff meeting. Metrics of success. External stakeholders. Org chart. Risk matrix. Schedule milestones. Budget breakdown and spend plans. And the RACI matrix. Step 29. Notes from the kickoff meeting. After the kickoff meeting, you should email to all attendees and those invited but could not attend. Link to the agenda with meeting notes filed on SharePoint. Link to the meeting recording, if any. Link to the attendance list. Link to all updated documents. Your plan for team meetings, with who is responsible, audience, cadence, frequency. Any assignments, who's responsible, and due dates. And next steps. File the meeting notes with the kickoff meeting agenda, PowerPoint, and other related documents in your project SharePoint site. And email the links, rather than emailing the actual documents. Congratulations! You have just completed the first steps in launching your new project. Now it's time to start managing your project. To learn more, see the WSDOT Program Management Manual.